Once upon a time there was a man named Sadi. Sadok was not loud. He did not talk too much. He did not like trouble. He was the kind of person that noticed everything but still kept his face calm. When people shouted at him, he would just nod. When people tried to shame him, he would look down for a second, then look up again like he was holding something strong inside. Most people in Lagos did not even see Sadi as a full person. They only saw him as a driver. But if you watched him well, you would notice something strange about him. His shirts were always clean. His shoes were always neat. Even when his clothes were simple, he still looked put together. He had a straight back when he stood, and when he walked, he did not drag his feet like someone who had given up on life. His eyes were quiet, but they were not weak. The problem was this. Sadik worked for a woman who enjoyed looking down on people. Her name was Udan Bello. Uddaka was rich, loud, and proud. She liked expensive things. She liked being called Madam. She liked when people begged her for help because it made her feel big. She owned a business that made luxury home designs for rich people. She decorated big houses, offices, and hotels. People in her world cared about brands, hair, nails, and who sat where at parties. And in Udaruna's world, Sadik was at the bottom. That morning, Sadi stood outside her big house in Uyi beside a black SUV that looked like it could swallow a small car. The gate was tall, the compound was wide, the flowers were arranged like someone was always expecting visitors. Sadok checked the time on his phone, then wiped a small spot on the car door with a cloth. It was not even dirty, but he wiped it anyway. He heard heels clicking behind him. "Are you blind?" Aduni's voice came sharp like a slab. "Why is the car still there? I said we are leaving by 8. Sadok turned quickly. "Good morning, Ma." "Good morning for who?" Uttering snapped, adjusting her sunglasses even though the sun was not that bright. "See you standing like statue. If I miss this meeting, you will pay for it." "Yes, Ma," Sadok said. Udun looked him up and down like she was checking a broken chair. "And what is that shirt? Is it only one shirt you have in your life?" Sadik looked at his shirt. It was clean, plain, neat. "Ma, it is clean," he said softly. Udrink laughed in a mean way. "Clean does not mean fine. You people don't know the difference. Clean can still be shame." Sadok opened the back door for her like nothing happened. Udun entered and crossed her legs. As he moved to the driver's seat, he heard her phone ring. She picked it fast, smiling like she had changed into a different person. "Hello, babe," she sang into the phone. "Yes, now I'm on my way. This useless traffic again. My driver will suffer today." Sadok's hands tightened on the steering wheel for a second. Then he relaxed them. He drove out steady and smooth. Inside the car, Udrinky talked loudly on the phone, laughing and shouting like she wanted the whole street to hear. "Please don't stress me," she said. "This meeting must go. Well, you know my client is big. Big people don't like mistakes." She paused and rolled her eyes, looking at Sadi through the mirror like he was the mistake she was talking about. "Yes, I'm still using that same driver," she continued. I know, but drivers are like slippers. You use them until they tear." Sadok kept his eyes on the road. After some minutes, Udarun ended the call and started scrolling on her phone. Then she started typing fast, smiling. Sadik knew that smile. It was the smile she had when she was planning something. They arrived at a tall glass building on Victoria Island. Udun came down and fixed her dress. She did not say thank you, she just stretched her hand out. "Bring my bag," she ordered. "Yes, Ma," Sadi said, picking it up. They entered the building and walked into the lobby. People greeted Udun quickly. "Good morning, Mrs. Bello. Welcome, Ma." Adore nodded like a queen. Then she looked at Sadok and hissed under her breath. "Stand one side," she whispered. "Don't block my light." Sadok moved to the side. A man in a suit came over. He was a staff member. "Madam, your visitors are already upstairs," he said. "Good," Udrink replied. "Let's go." As they entered the elevator, another woman stepped in too. She had long hair and a shiny bag. She smelled like perfume and money. She looked at Udun and smiled. "Udrink." "Hi," the woman said. Udun's face opened like a curtain. "Ah, Basula," Uduni shouted happily. "My sister, how are you?" They hugged and laughed. Then Basula looked at Sadik. "Is that your driver?" she asked like she was asking if the car had AC. "Yes," Udaruni said, waving her hand. "That is him." Basula stared at Sadik Us face, then at his shoes. "Whom? He looks quiet." Udun scoffed. "Quiet. He is quiet because he has nothing to say. What will a driver know? His job is to drive and keep quiet." Sadi stood still, eyes forward. Basula leaned closer to Udun and spoke like she did not want Sadi to hear, even though he was right there. I hope he does not smell. Basula whispered, some of them do. Udun laughed hard. If he smells, I will wind down the window. Sadik's jaw moved a little like he swallowed something heavy. The elevator opened. They walked out to a fancy office floor. Udun entered a meeting room with 3 people waiting. They were rich too. Their clothes were sharp. Their phones were expensive. Udun smiled wide. Good morning. I'm sorry for the delay. Lagos traffic is wicked. One of the men laughed. No problem. Sit, sit. Adore sat and started talking fast about designs, costs, and time. She used big smiles. She used sweet words. She acted like she respected them. Sadik stood by the door holding her bag. After a while, Aduni's phone rang. She picked it. Yes, she said, sounding annoyed. Then her face changed. Ah, baby, sorry, I'm in a meeting. She listened. Okay, she said. I will call you back. She ended the call, then turned to Sadak angry. Why didn't you remind me that I have another appointment? She barked. Sadik blinked. Ma, you did not tell me. Are you talking back? Aduri snapped. The clients looked at each other surprised. Udurun forced a smile. Sorry, small issue. Then she leaned close to Sadak and whispered with hot anger. Don't ever embarrass me in front of people. Do you hear? Yes, Ma, Sadak said. When the meeting ended, they went back downstairs. Udun walked fast like she was trying to run away from her own shame. Once they got into the car, she started complaining again. You see why I hate working with poor people, she said, throwing her phone on the seat. You people are always slow. Sadik did not answer. Udrink looked at him through the mirror. Are you angry? No, Ma, he said. Good, she said, because anger does not change anything. Your life is still your life. Sadak's throat moved again. He kept driving. They reached a mall later that afternoon because Udun wanted to shop. She entered with 2 other women, Dasula and another friend named Tulla. They were both dressed like they were going to a wedding. Sadik followed behind with shopping bags. As they walked, the women talked about parties, men, and money. Their laughter was loud and proud. Basula pointed at a dress in a shop window. This is the kind of dress I want for your birthday. Udkrink's eyes lit up. My birthday must be big this year. Bigger than last year. Tulla smiled. Of course you are Udun Bello. Udun touched her chest. Exactly, people must feel it. I want the kind of birthday that will make social media cry. Basula laughed. Then invite the right people. No dull people, no cheap people. Udun nodded, only the best. Tulla looked behind and saw Sadak holding bags. Your driver is still following like bodyguard, she said, laughing. Udrink turned and looked at Sadik like he was a stain. Sadik, she called. Yes, Ma, he replied. Are you tired? She asked with fake kindness. No, Ma. Of course you are not tired, Udun said to her friends. He has nothing else doing with his life. This is his whole world. The friends laughed. Sadik stood still. He did not laugh. He did not frown. He just waited. They entered another store. Udrinki tried on shoes. Basula tried on bags. Tulla tried on perfume. They kept talking and each word was like they were throwing stones at someone who could not throw back. As they were leaving the mall, Aduni's phone buzzed again. She checked the message and smiled that same planning smile. Basula noticed. Why are you smiling like that? Aduri raised her phone. My birthday plan is getting swata. Tulla leaned in. Tell us. Adore looked around like she was about to tell a secret. Then she said, I want to do something funny this year, something that will make everyone talk. Basula grinned. Like what? Udun glanced at Sadak. Then she lowered her voice, but she still spoke loud enough for him to hear. I'm going to invite Sadi to my birthday, she said. Bisola's mouth opened. Your driver? Yes, Adun said. Laughing, imagine him among my rich guests. Imagine the way he will stand lost holding cup like village person. Tola burst out laughing. Ah, that is wicked. Adun shrugged like it was nothing. It will be fun. Let him enter big hall and see real life. Let him see how rich people behave. Maybe it will teach him to know his place. Bisola clapped. I like it. We will all watch him. Tola laughed again. He will embarrass himself. Adori's eyes shined. Exactly. And when he starts shaking, I will just smile and say, don't worry. He is my driver. Bisola wiped tears from laughing. Adarin, you are not good. Adore lifted her chin. Life is not fair. If you are poor, you should accept it. Sardik stood there holding shopping bags, listening to every word. Adarin turned to him suddenly. Sadi, she called again as if she just remembered he was a human. Yes, Ma, he said. Adarink smiled like a cat. My birthday is next week, she said. You are invited. Sadik blinked once. Biseller and Tola leaned forward waiting for him to panic. But Sadi did. Not panic, he did not beg, he did not ask why. He simply nodded and said, "Thank you, Ma." The women froze for half a second. It was not the reaction they wanted. Adarinki's smile became tight. "You will come, right?" "Yes, Ma." Sadik said again, calm. Tola frowned. "He is acting like it is normal." Bisola laughed nervously. "Maybe he doesn't understand what it means." Adon waved her hand like she did not care, but her eyes stayed on Sadik's face. "Fine," she said. "Just make sure you don't disgrace me. Dress well, don't come looking like you slept inside." Gutter. Sadi nodded. "Yes." Maadorinki turned and entered the car like a winner. Her friends followed, still laughing, still excited for the joke they believed was coming. Sadik entered the driver's seat and started the engine. As he drove them back to the big house, the women kept talking about the party, about who would come, about how Sadi would behave. But Sadi did not join their laughter. He just drove. His face stayed calm. Yet inside him, something was waking up. And as the sun started going down and the city lights came on, Sadi's eyes stayed fixed on the road like he had already chosen what he would do next. Sadi drove Adarin and her friends back to the house in silence. Inside the car, laughter filled the air. The women talked over each other, still excited about the birthday party and the joke they believed would be sweet. Every few seconds, Adarin laughed the loudest like she wanted to remind everyone that she was in charge. "Can you imagine his face?" Bisola said, shaking her head. "All those rich people and your driver just standing there," Tola added. "He will probably hold the wine glass with two hands." They burst into laughter again. Adon leaned back and crossed her legs. "Let him come. I want to enjoy it well. Life has been too boring lately." Sadi heard every word, but his face did not change. He kept his eyes on the road and his hands steady on the steering wheel. When they reached the house, Adarink came down first. She did not say thank you. She never did. She walked inside like the house belonged to the world and the world belonged to her. Sadik parked the car properly, locked it, and followed behind to drop the bags inside. After that, he quietly walked out through the small gate meant for staff. The street was calm. The evening air was warm. Sardi walked slowly to the bus stop, carrying nothing but his thoughts. On the bus ride home, he sat by the window and watched the city pass by. Big buildings turned into smaller ones. Bright lights turned into dim bulbs. Smooth roads turned into rough streets. When he finally got down, he walked into a narrow street and stopped in front of a small building. The paint was old. The stairs were cracked, but it was home. He climbed the stairs and entered his one-room apartment. The room was quiet. A small bed sat by the wall. A table stood near the window. A mirror hung beside the door. Everything was simple, clean, and arranged. Sadik dropped his keys on the table and sat on the bed. For a long moment, he just sat there breathing. Slowly, then he laughed. It was not loud, it was not happy, it was short and tired. "So she invited me," he said softly to himself as a joke. He stood up and walked to the mirror. He looked at his face. Really looked at it. "You still look the same," he said quietly. "Nothing has changed." He turned away from the mirror and walked to a small wooden box under his bed. He dragged it out slowly and placed it on the floor. The box was old. The edges were worn. The lock had long stopped working. Sadi knelt down and opened it. Inside were things he had not touched in years. Old photos, a folded suit bag, a small card with his name printed on it. He picked up one photo. It was him, younger, taller, standing under bright lights. People were clapping. He was wearing a fitted suit and walking on a long stage. Sadik's fingers trembled a little. "That was a long time ago," he whispered. He picked another photo. In this one, he was smiling wide. A woman stood beside him, holding his arm. His mother. "You said I should never bend my head," he said. "You said life can push, but I should not break." He placed the photo down gently. Then he opened the suit bag. Inside was a three-piece suit, dark, clean, well-kept. He touched the fabric slowly like he was touching something alive. "This suit," he said quietly. "You carried me to places I never thought I would see." His phone buzzed suddenly. Sadi stood up quickly like he had been caught doing something wrong. He checked the screen. It was a message from Adon. "Don't forget my birthday is next week. You will come early." Sadik stared at the message for a long time, then he typed back, "Yes, Ma." He dropped the phone on the bed and sat down again. For a few seconds doubt tried to enter his heart. What if she is right, he asked himself. What if I embarrass myself? He stood up again and faced the mirror. Slowly he straightened his shoulders. No, he said, I did not embarrass myself before. I will not start now. The next morning, Sardi arrived at work early as usual. He washed the car, wiped the seats, and checked the tires. Adon came out of the house talking on the phone. Yes, everything is set, she said loudly. The hall is booked. The guest list is full. This birthday will shake Legos. She ended the call and looked at Sadik. You, she said, snapping her fingers. Did you hear what I said yesterday? Yes, Ma, Sadik replied. You are coming to my birthday, she said slowly like she was explaining to a child. Don't disgrace me, I understand. Ma, Sadik said. Adon rolled her eyes. You better. As they drove out, Adon kept talking about the party. She talked about the hall, the food, the guests, and how important it was. You know, she said, adjusting her hair, people will be coming from everywhere. Big people, you must not talk anyhow, just greet and keep quiet. Yes, Ma. Don't eat like you are starving, she added, and don't ask questions. Yes, Ma. She looked at him through the mirror. Why are you always saying yes like robot? Sadi met her eyes in the mirror for a second. Because that is my job, Ma. Adarin smiled, pleased, at least you know. Later that day, Adarin met with her friends again at a cafe. Sadi waited outside in the car. Inside, Bisola and Tola were already there. Adarin, Bisola shouted, we were just talking about your driver. Adon laughed and sat down. That man will give us free comedy. Tola leaned forward. Is he really coming? Yes, Adon said. I invited him myself. Bisola smiled wide. I can't wait. I will sit where I can see him clearly. Tola added, I hope he does not wear his work clothes. Adarin waved her hand. Even if he borrows suit, it will still show. They laughed again. Outside, Sadi sat quietly looking at the cafe door. He could see their mouths moving through the glass. He knew they were talking about him. His phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from an unknown number. Hello, Sadi. This is Kola. We trained together years ago. Someone saw your picture online. Are you still modeling? Zadok's heart skipped. He typed slowly. I stopped. I drive now. The reply came fast. Driving does not erase talent. If you ever need anything, call me. Sadik stared at the message, then he locked his phone. That evening after work, Sadi did not go straight home. He stopped by a small tailor shop. The signboard was old. The tour was an elderly man. Good evening, sir, Sadi said. The tour looked up. Good evening, young man. How can I help you? Sadi opened his bag and brought out the suit. I need this to fit perfectly, he said. The Taurs widened. This is a fine suit, Sadi nodded. It means a lot to me. The Taur smiled. Then we will do it well. As Sadik walked out of the shop, the sun was setting again. The city lights began to glow. At home that night, Sadik sat on his bed and stared at the wall. This invitation was meant to shame me, he said softly, but it will not. He lay down slowly, eyes open. In another part of the city, Adon lay on her big bed, smiling as she scrolled through pictures of the event hall. She whispered to herself, this birthday will be unforgettable. Both of them were right, but for very different reasons. The day of the birthday party finally arrived. From early morning, Adari's house was already noisy. Workers moved in and out. Makeup artists arrived with boxes. Hairstylists dragged long bags behind them. Everyone greeted Adon with soft voices and wide smiles. Good morning, Ma. Happy birthday in advance, Ma. Adarin sat on a tall chair in front of a mirror, wearing a robe while someone fixed her hair. Yes, yes, she said, waving her hand. Make sure everything is perfect. I don't want any mistake today. Outside, Sadi stood beside the car, waiting as usual. Adon walked out after some time, dressed in a fine outfit, shining like she wanted the sun to respect her. Sadik, she called. Yes, Ma, he replied. You will drop me at the hall and go home, she said. Don't come early, come later. I don't want people seeing you too soon. Sadik nodded. All right, Ma. She looked at him again and remember, dress well, don't disgrace me. Yes, Ma. As they drove, Adon talked non-stop about the party. Today is not for mistakes, she said. People are coming from everywhere. Big people, you know how Lagos is. Yes, Ma. She smiled to herself. This party will be talked about for years. They arrived at the event hall before noon. The place was huge. White and gold decorations filled the space. Long tables stood in rows. Flowers were everywhere, the lights were bright and clean. Adon stepped out of the car and smiled wide. "This is it," she said proudly. She turned to Sadik. "Go, I will see you later." Sadik watched her walk inside, surrounded by people calling her name. Then he drove away quietly. Hours later, evening came. The hall slowly filled with guests. Expensive cars lined up outside. Music played softly in the background. People dressed in shiny clothes walked in, laughing and greeting each other. Adori stood near the center, greeting guests like a queen. "Ah, welcome. Thank you for coming. You look beautiful." Her friends Bisola and Tola stood close to her. Bisola looked around. "This place is full already." Adon smiled proudly as it should be. Tola leaned close. "So where is our main guest?" Adon laughed. "Relax, he will come. Let him suffer small first." They laughed together. Time passed. More guests arrived. Plates of food moved around. Drinks flowed freely. Some guests began to ask questions. "Madam, happy birthday," a woman said. "But where is your driver? I heard you invited him." Adon smiled like she was waiting for that question. "Oh, he will come. He is probably still confused." The woman laughed. "This will be interesting." Across the hall, Baal pointed at the door. "I'm watching that entrance. I don't want to miss it." Tola nodded. "Same here." Minutes turned into an hour. Still no sign of Sadik. Adoni began to enjoy the waiting too much. "Maybe he is scared," she said loudly. "Maybe he borrowed clothes that don't fit." Bisola laughed. "Or maybe he is still practicing how to greet rich people." Tola added, "He will probably call you for help." Adon checked her phone. No missed call. She smiled. "Let him come when he wants." The longer he waits, the better. Inside another part of the city, Sadi stood in front of a mirror. The room was quiet. He was dressed in his three-piece suit. The tour had done a good job. The suit fit him like it was made for his body alone. His shoes were polished. His hair was neat. He looked at himself carefully. "You can do this," he said softly. He adjusted his collar and took a deep breath. His phone buzzed, a message from Adon. "Where are you? Don't be late." Sadik read it and typed back calmly, "I am on my way, ma, back at the hall." Adon showed the message to her friend. "See," she said, "he is coming." Bisola clapped lightly. "Good, I was getting bored." The music grew louder. The MC took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "let's celebrate the birthday queen of the night." Cheers filled the hall. Ajuran danced slowly, enjoying every second. Cameras flashed, phones recorded. After the dance, she returned to her seat, breathing lightly. She looked around again. "Still no Sadik. Where is he?" Tola whispered. Adarank frowned slightly. He said, "He is coming." Another friend joined them. "People are asking about your driver." Adoran laughed. "Tell them to wait." Time passed again. Guests began to settle. Some sat down, some stood in groups talking. Bisola leaned closer. "Hope he does not disappoint us." "He won't," Adon said. "Disappointment is his nature." Then the hall door opened slightly as some staff walked in with more trays. Everyone glanced briefly, then looked away. Adon sighed. "This man is wasting my time." She picked up her phone and called Sadik. The phone rang. Sadik answered calmly. "Yes, ma, where are you?" she asked sharply. "I am close, ma," he replied. "You better be," she said. "Don't come looking foolish." "Yes, ma." She ended the call and shook her head. "Imagine," she said to her friends, "still stressing me on my birthday." Bisola smiled. "The wait will be worth it." Suddenly the music lowered, not because the DJ planned it, but because people near the door started murmuring. Small whispers moved across the hall like wind. Adori noticed. She turned slowly. "What is happening?" she asked. Bisola's eyes stayed on the entrance. Tola stood up slightly from her seat. Then the whole door opened fully. The room began to quiet down. Heads turned, phones slowly lifted. Adon felt something strange in her chest. She stood up, eyes fixed on the door. For a moment no one spoke. The door stayed open and someone stepped inside. The hall went silent. The person who stepped inside was Sadi. For a second nobody moved. The music stayed low. The lights stayed bright, but the hall felt frozen, like time had stopped just to look at him. Sadik walked in slowly, not rushing, not dragging his feet. He was wearing a dark three-piece suit that fit him like it belonged to his body. The jacket sat well on his shoulders. The trousers fell clean to his shoes. His white shirt was crisp. His tie was neat. His shoes shined under the lights. He did not look around like he was lost. He did not bend his head. He walked straight. Whispers started at the door, then spread like fire. "Who is that? Is he a celebrity? I swear I've seen him somewhere before." Phones lifted quietly. A few camera flashes popped without warning. Sadik kept walking. At the Center of the hall, Adaring stood stiff. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed again. Her smile disappeared so fast it was like it was never there. Bisola grabbed her arm. "Wait," Bisola whispered. Is that your driver?" Ajuran did not answer. Tola leaned forward, eyes wide. "No, that can't be him." Sardik took another step. Another. The space around him seemed to open on its own. People moved aside without being asked. Some smiled at him, some stared in shock. Adon's heart began to beat fast. "That's not possible," she muttered. "That's not how he looks." Bisola whispered again, her voice low. "Adon, that is Sadi." Adon swallowed hard. "No," she said. "No, no, no." Sadik stopped a few steps into the hall. He looked around calmly, like someone taking in a room he belonged in. His eyes moved slowly, not greedy, not scared. Then his eyes met Adonis. For a brief moment, everything between them flashed. Every insult, every laugh, every time she talked down on him. Sadek's face did not change. He nodded once politely. "Good evening, Ma," he said. His voice was calm, clear, steady. People around them heard it. "Ma," someone whispered. Bissa's mouth fell open. Adaring forced a laugh that sounded wrong. "Sadek," she said loudly, you came." "Yes, Ma," he replied. "Happy birthday." Silence followed his words. Then someone clapped. Slowly, another person joined. Soon a few claps spread, confused but impressed. Adon felt her knees weaken slightly. She grabbed the back of her chair. Tala leaned close and whispered, "Why does he look like this?" Ajuran hissed back, "I don't know." A woman nearby turned to her friend. "That man is fine." Another whispered, "His walk, did you see his walk?" Sadi took a few more steps forward. A man in a cream suit stepped out of the crowd and smiled at him. "Good evening," the man said warmly. "Welcome." "Good evening, sir," Sadi replied. The man nodded with respect. "You look sharp." "Thank you, sir." Ajuran watched the exchange, her stomach tight. "That man doesn't greet me like that," she muttered. "He doesn't talk to me like that." Bisola did not answer. Her eyes were still on Sadik. Another woman stepped closer to Sadik, smiling wide. "Are you one of the guests?" she asked. "Yes," Sadik said politely. "Oh," the woman laughed softly. "You look amazing." "Thank you," he replied. She giggled and touched her hair. "Please, can we take a picture?" Sadi hesitated for a second, then nodded. "All right." The camera flashed. Aduni's breath caught in her throat. "What is happening?" she whispered. Tulla shook her head slowly. "This is not what we planned." The MC, still holding the microphone, looked confused. "Ah," he said slowly. "Welcome. Welcome. Please make yourself comfortable." Suduk nodded again and moved toward the sitting area. As he passed by Uttaran, she spoke quickly. "Sadik," she said in a low voice, forcing a smile. "You didn't tell me you had this kind of suit." Suduk looked at her. "You didn't ask, Ma," he replied gently. The words were simple, but they landed heavy. Aduni's smile froze. Basula stared at Suduk as he walked away. "Since when is he this tall?" she asked quietly. Tulla replied, "Or this calm." They watched as Suduk took a seat at an empty table. Almost immediately, two women joined him. "Can we sit here?" one asked. "Yes," Sadi said. They smiled and sat. Uttarink's chest fell tight. "This is my party," she said under her breath. "Why is everyone looking at him?" Basula did not respond. She was too busy watching Sadi laugh lightly at something. One of the women said. "That laugh," Basula murmured, "it's nice." Uttaran turned sharply. Basula blinked. "What, you're starring?" Ador said. Basula looked away quickly. "I was just surprised." Across the hall, a group of men whispered among themselves. "That guy has presence. He looks like a model." "Who invited him?" Someone answered. "The celebrant. He's her driver." Laughter followed, but it was not mocking, it was disbelief. Uttering overheard and felt heat rise to her face. She marched towards Sadi's table. "Sadi," she said loudly, "come here." The women at the table looked up. Sadi stood calmly. "Yes, Ma, why are you sitting there?" she asked, smiling too hard. "You should stay close, people may need you." Sadi nodded. "All right, Ma." He turned to the women. "Excuse me." "No problem," one of them said, still smiling. "We will talk later." Suduk walked back toward Udon. As he stood beside her, the difference between them felt strange. He looked confident, she looked unsure. Udon leaned closer and whispered, "What are you doing attending the party?" Suduk replied softly. She frowned. "Don't overdo it." "I'm not, Ma," he said. Basula watched them closely. Sadik. Basula suddenly said, smiling, "You clean up." "Well, thank you, Ma," he replied. Her smile stayed longer than needed. Udon noticed. She laughed loudly. "Ah, he borrowed the suit. You know drivers." Suduk said nothing. A man nearby turned and asked, "Borrowed? From where?" Udjaran waved her hand. "You know, somewhere." The man nodded slowly, not convinced. Music started again, louder this time. People began to dance. Sadi stood quietly watching. A woman approached him again. "Would you like to dance?" Sadok smiled politely. "Maybe." Later she laughed. "I'll be waiting." Udan felt something slip from her grip. This was not the night she planned. Basula leaned closer again, her voice softer now. "Udan, you never told me your driver was like this." Udaran snapped. "Like what?" Basula paused, then said, "Like this." She gestured towards Sadi, who was now talking calmly with two men who listened with interest. Aduri watched them laugh at something he said. For the first time that night she felt small, and across the hall, as Sadok spoke and smiled under the bright lights, one thing became clear. The joke had changed direction, and it was no longer funny for the person who planned it. The music grew louder and the party moved into full swing. People danced. Glasses clunkudcud. Laughter filled the hall, but even with all the noise, something had clearly changed. The center of attention was no longer Udan. It was Sadi. At first, Udaran tried to ignore it. She smiled for pictures. She danced when the camera came close. She laughed loudly so people would hear her. But her eyes kept moving on their own, always finding Sadok. He was standing near the side now, talking with a small group. Two women leaned in close to him, laughing at whatever he said. One of them touched his arm lightly as she spoke. Udan's jaw tightened. Basula noticed it too. "Ah," Basula said softly, "people really like him." Udarank forced a laugh. "They like novelty. It will pass," but it did not pass. Another woman joined the group around Sadi. Then another soon. It looked like a small circle had formed with Sadok at the center. Tulla leaned close to Udan. "Your driver is becoming popular." Adani snapped. "He is not my driver tonight." Tulla blinked. "What I mean," Udan corrected herself quickly, "he is a guest. Let him enjoy," but her voice lacked confidence. Across the hall, one of the women smiled brightly at Sadok. "You're very calm," she said. "Most men here are trying too hard." Sadi smiled lightly. "I'm just enjoying the night." She tilted her head. "What do you do?" Sadi paused for half a second. "I drive." Her eyes widened. "You drive like for fun?" Sadok shook his head gently. "For work." She stared at him surprised, then laughed softly. "I never would have guessed." Another woman jumped in. "Same here, you carry yourself well." "Thank you," Sadok replied. A man nearby listened closely. "You don't talk like most drivers." Sadi met his eyes. "People are many things, sir. Work is just one of them." The man nodded slowly. "True." Udaran overheard that last part. She stepped forward quickly. "Sadok," she said with a sharp smile, "are you okay? You've been standing for long." "Yes, ma," Sadok said calmly. "You can sit," she added, "or maybe help around." One of the women frowned. "Help around?" Udan laughed quickly. "Oh, I mean, he likes to stay busy." Sadok looked at Udaran, then back at the woman. "I'm fine," he said. The woman smiled. "Good, don't go anywhere." Udaran felt heat rise in her face. She turned away sharply. "This is nonsense," she muttered. Basula followed her. "Udaran, calm down. Did you hear the way they talked to him?" Udaran hissed. "Like he belongs here." Basula hesitated. "Maybe he does." Adani spun around. "What did you say?" "I mean," Basula corrected herself quickly, "people are just curious." Udaran shook her head. This was supposed to be fun. From across the hall, a man with a camera lifted it again. He had been watching quietly for some time. He wore black and moved like someone who knew where to stand. He snapped another picture of Sadi. This time, as Sadi laughed at something, one of the women said, the camera clicked. Sadok noticed and looked up. "Oh," he said, "sorry, did I block your shot?" The man smiled. "Not at all, you are the shot." Sadok blinked. "Me?" "Yes," the man said, "you have a good look." Sadok nodded politely. "Thank you." The man lowered his camera. "I post event photos online. People like faces." "Okay," Sadi said. Another camera flash went off from a different angle. Udarank saw it. "Why is that man taking pictures of him?" she asked sharply. Tulla shrugged. "Maybe he thinks he's important." Udan scoffed. "Important because of my party." But the words sounded weak even to her. The MC called for attention again. "Ladies and gentlemen, food is served." People cheered and moved toward the tables. Sadok stood back, letting others pass. One of the women touched his arm again. "Come sit with us," she said. Sadok hesitated. "Are you sure?" "Of course," she replied. "You're part of the party." He followed them to the table. Udarank watched from a distance, gripping her drink too tightly. "That seat," she whispered, "that is where my clients sit." Bussa glanced at her. You didn't reserve it. Udjaran stayed quiet. At the table, Sadi listened more than he spoke. When he did speak, people listened. He smiled, he nodded, he did not brag, he did not explain himself. That calm made people lean in more. One of the women said, "You should model." Sadik laughed softly. "No, why not?" she asked. "I don't think about things like that," he replied. Another woman shook her head. "You should, you have the face," a man added. "And the walk." Sadi smiled again. "Thank you." Across the hall, Udarani sat down heavily. "They are acting like he is better than me," she said. Basula looked uncomfortable. "No one said that, but they are thinking it." Udan snapped. She stood up suddenly and walked toward the DJ. "Turn up the music," she ordered. "This place is dull." The DJ obeyed. Music blasted, lights flashed. But even with the louder sound, I still moved towards Suduk. Few minutes later, Sadi's phone vibrated in his pocket. He checked it quietly. A notification. Someone had tagged him in a photo. He opened it. It was the picture the man with the camera had taken. The caption read, "Who is this guy?" The photo already had likes. Sadik frowned slightly, then locked his phone. Uda noticed him looking at his screen. "What is he checking?" she asked. Tulla shrugged, probably begging someone for help, but Sadi's phone vibrated again and again. He checked it once more. Likes. More comments. "Fine man. Where did he come from? He looks like a model." Sadik swallowed slowly. One of the women noticed his expression. "Everything okay?" "Yes," he said, "just messages." She smiled. "PP already." He laughed lightly. Across the hall, Adarin felt something twist inside her. She grabbed Bisola's arm. "This is getting out of hand." Bisola said nothing. Another vibration hit Sadik's phone. Then another. He stepped aside politely and checked it. This time, a message came through from an unknown number. "Hello, this is Kem. I saw your photo from the event. You have a strong look." Sadik stared at the message, then another followed. "Are you signed to any agency?" Sardik's chest rose and fell slowly. He typed carefully, "No." The reply came almost instantly, "We should talk." Sadik locked his phone and slipped it back into his pocket. He looked up. The hall looked the same, but it felt different now. The laughter, the lights, the people, something had shifted. Adoran watched him from across the room, her heart beating faster for reasons she did not understand. The party continued, but somewhere between the music and the flashing lights, the night had stopped being about her, and Sardik's phone buzzed again, quietly like the future knocking without asking for permission. The party slowly began to calm down, not because people were tired, but because the night had reached that soft moment when guests stopped dancing and started talking deeply. Shoes were kicked off under tables. Jackets were loosened. Laughter became slower and closer. Sardik stood near a quiet corner holding a glass of water. His phone stayed silent for a few minutes now, like it was resting after too much noise. Adori watched him from across the hall. She did not like the calm on his face. It made her uneasy. She leaned toward Bisola. "Why is he standing like that?" she asked, like he owns the place. Bisola shrugged. "He's just standing." "No." Adan snapped. "Look at him. He's too relaxed." Bisola said nothing. Sadik's phone buzzed again. He checked it this time, slower than before. A message popped up. "Hi, this is Kim. I work with a modeling agency. I hope you got my earlier message." Sadik's fingers froze on the screen. Another message followed. "I'm at the event. I would love to speak with you for a minute." Sadik lifted his head slowly. He looked around the hall. Near the far side, close to the wall, stood a woman in a simple black dress. She was not loud. She was not dancing. She watched people quietly, like someone counting steps in her head. When their eyes met, she raised her hand slightly. Sadik's heart beat faster. He took a deep breath and walked toward her. As he passed Adaroni's table, she noticed his movement. "Where is he going?" she asked sharply. Tola followed his direction with her eyes. "He's walking toward that woman," Adarin frowned. "Who is she?" "I don't know," Bisola said. "She's been standing there for a while." Ador stood up quickly and followed them. Not too close, but close enough to hear. Sadik stopped in front of the woman. "Hello," he said politely. She smiled. "Hi, I'm Kim." "Nice to meet you," Sadik replied. "Likewise," she said. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "No," Sadi said quickly. "It's okay." Kim looked at him closely, then nodded. "You have a strong presence." "Thank you," Sadi said. She folded her arms gently. "Have you ever modeled before?" Sadik hesitated. "Yes," he said, "a long time ago." Kemi's eyes brightened. "Knew it. Your walk gives it away." Sadik smiled lightly. Life happened. Kemi nodded slowly. "It always does." Adoni stood a few steps away, pretending to talk to someone else, but her ears were open. Kim continued, I saw your picture online tonight. It's already moving fast. Sardi frowned slightly. I didn't plan for that. I know, Kim said. That's why it's good. She paused. Would you be open to coming in for an audition? Sadik's chest rose and fell. An audition. The word hit him like a door. Opening. I drive now, he said carefully. Kim smiled. Driving does not erase skill. Adoni's breath caught. What did she say? She whispered to herself. Sadik asked softly, what kind of audition? Kim replied, a simple one just to see where you are. Sadik nodded slowly, okay. Kim smiled wider, good, I'll send you the details. She pulled out her phone and sent a message. Sadik's phone buzzed immediately. Adon clenched her fists. This is nonsense, she muttered. Kim added, no pressure, just come as you are. Sadik smiled. Thank you. They shook hands. As Sadik turned to walk away, Adarin stepped forward. Excuse me, she said sharply. Who are you? Kemi turned calmly. I'm Kim, and what are you doing with my driver? Adurin asked. Sadik stiffened slightly. Kim looked from Adon to Sadik, then back. I'm talking to him. Adurin forced a laugh. About what? Work, Kim replied simply. Adarink's smile cracked. Work he already has. Work, Kimmy nodded. For now, the words hung in the air. Adon laughed again, louder this time. You people joke too much. Kim smiled politely. I don't joke with my work. Sadik stood quiet between them. Adon turned to him sharply. Sadi, you didn't tell me you were looking for another job. Sadik met her eyes. You didn't ask. Ma, the same words again. Adorink felt her chest tight. Kimmy checked her watch. I'll let you get back to the party. We LL talk soon. She nodded at Sadi and walked away. Adarink grabbed Sadik's arm and pulled him aside. What was that? She hissed. She asked me to come for an audition. Sadik said calmly. Audition for what? Adarink snapped. Modeling, he replied. Adarink, he burst out laughing. Modeling you? Yes, Ma, Sadi said. She shook her head hard. Don't let this party enter your head. It's not the party, Sadik replied quietly. It's my past. Adarink scoffed. Past, please. She leaned closer. Listen to me. Don't embarrass yourself. People say many things when they drink. They weren't drinking, Sadik said. Adon straightened up. Are you arguing with me? No, Ma, Sadik replied. I'm just answering. She stared at him for a long moment, then turned away sharply. This is not serious, she muttered. The party ended later that night. Guests hugged, cars lined up again, staff cleaned quietly. Adon left the hall without saying much. Sadik followed behind and drove her home. Inside the car, silence filled the space. Halfway through the drive, Adoni spoke. Don't forget who you, she said coldly. Sadik kept his eyes on the road. I know who I am, Ma, she scoffed. You are a driver. Sadik did not reply. When they reached the house, Adarink got down without looking at him. Be at work early tomorrow, she said. We have meetings. Yes, Ma, Sadi replied. That night, Sadi did not sleep much. He sat on his bed, phone in hand, reading the audition message again and again. The address, the time, the simple words. Come as you are. The next morning, he woke up early, earlier than usual. He ironed his shirt slowly. He polished his shoes. He moved with care. At work, Adarink watched him closely. You look too happy, she said. I'm fine, Ma, Sadik replied. Don't forget your place, she warned. Yes, Ma, he said. That afternoon, while waiting in the car outside a building, Sadik's phone buzzed again. Another message from Kim. Just a reminder, tomorrow by 10:00 a.m., Sadi typed back, I'll be there. Adurin opened the car door suddenly. Who are you texting? She asked. Someone, Sadi replied. She frowned. Someone or that woman? Sadik paused. The audition is tomorrow. Ma, Adon laughed sharply. Good, go and see. She leaned closer. When you come back disappointed, don't cry. Sadik nodded. I won't. The next day arrived quickly. Sardik dressed simply and neatly. He arrived at the audition hall early. Inside, bright lights filled the space. People moved around with clipboards. Kim stood near the front. When she saw Sadi, she smiled. You came, she said. Yes, he replied. She handed him a number. Let's see what you can do. Sadi took a deep breath. As he stepped forward, memories rushed back. The walk, the lights, the silence before applause. He walked slow, steady, confident. The room grew quiet. Someone whispered, He's good. Another nodded. Very good. After it ended, Kim smiled wide. Welcome back, she said. Sadik exhaled slowly. That evening, Adon sat in her living room, scrolling through her phone. She paused. A familiar face filled the screen. Sadik, walking, confident, captioned with words she did not like. She sat up straight. What? She whispered. Her heart dropped because deep inside she knew something had started and it would not stop. The next few days felt strange for Sardik. Life did not change all at once, but it no longer stayed the same either. On Monday morning, Sadek still woke up early. He still wore his simple shirt and trousers. He still arrived at Adarinki's house before sunrise and cleaned the car, but something inside him had shifted. Adarink noticed it. "You are quiet," she said as she entered the car. "I'm always quiet, Ma," Sadek replied. "No," she said sharply, "this one is different." She studied him through the mirror. "Did they call you again?" "Yes, Ma," Sadi said honestly. Adarinki laughed, but it sounded thin. "These people don't rest." She crossed her arms. "Don't forget your work." "Yes, Ma," Sadek replied, but even as he said it, his phone buzzed inside his pocket. At the traffic light, when Adari was busy on her phone, Sadi glanced down. A message from Kem. "Good news, they loved you." His heart skipped. Another message followed. "They want to offer you a contract." Sadek's hands tightened slightly on the steering wheel. At the office, Adaring stepped out of the car and walked inside without saying thank you as usual. Sardik parked and waited. His phone buzzed again. "Can you come in this afternoon to discuss details?" Sadek typed back slowly. "Yes." That afternoon, Sadi sat in a small office with white walls. Kim sat across from him with a folder on the table. "You did very well," she said. They were impressed. Sadi nodded. "Thank you." She slid the folder toward him. "This is the offer." He opened it carefully. Money, his name, photos, runway shows. It felt unreal. "I still drive." Sadi said quietly, "I need time." Kim smiled. "We understand, but opportunities don't wait forever." Sadi nodded again. "I just need to think," he said. "Of course," she replied, "but not too long." That night, Sadi lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. His phone rested on his chest. He thought of his mother. He thought of the old photos. He thought of the way people looked at him at the party. Then he thought of Adon, the insults, the laughter, the way she said his life was nothing. He sat up slowly. "I can't stay halfway," he whispered to himself. The next morning, Sadek arrived at work as usual. Adair was already upset. "Why is traffic bad today?" she complained as soon as she entered the car. "I'll find another route, Ma," Sadek said. She sighed loudly. "This city will kill someone." As they drove, her phone rang. "Yes," she answered sharply. Her tone changed halfway through the call. "Oh, really?" she said. "I'll get back to you." She ended the call and frowned. "What is it?" Sadek asked carefully. "Nothing," she snapped. "Just business," but her fingers shook slightly. Later that day, Sadi received another message. "We need your answer," Kim wrote. Sadi took a deep breath. He replied, "I accept." Within minutes, his phone rang. Kemi's voice came through, bright and happy. "Welcome, thank you," Sadi said softly. "You'll need to stop driving," she added gently. "This will take your full time." Sadek closed his eyes for a second. "I know." That evening, Sadi knocked on Adon's office door. She looked up surprised. "What is it?" "Can I speak with you, Ma?" he asked. She rolled her eyes. "Make it fast." Sadi stood straight. "I got a job offer." She laughed. "Another joke." "No, Ma," he said calmly. "I accepted it." Adoranka's smile faded. "Accepted what?" "A modeling contract," Sadi replied. Silence filled the room. "You're joking," she said slowly. "No, Ma." Her face hardened. "So what are you saying?" "I'm resigning," Sadek said. "I'll work till the end of the week." Adori stood up so fast her chair moved back. "You can't resign," she snapped. "I didn't give you permission." Sadi kept his voice steady. "I don't need permission, Ma." Her eyes widened. "Is this because of that party?" "No," Sadek replied. "It's because of my life." She laughed sharply. "You think you are better now?" "No, Ma," he said. "I just want more." Adoni pointed at him. "You will fail." Sadek nodded. "Maybe, but I have to try." She turned away in anger. "Leave my office." "Yes, Ma." Sadi said that was the last time he called her that. The week passed quickly. On his final day, Sadek returned the car keys and thanked the security guard at the gate. He walked out without looking back. Adarinki watched him leave from her window. She told herself she didn't care, but her chest felt heavy. Weeks passed. Sadek's life changed fast. He attended fittings. He practiced walking. He stood under bright lights again. His face appeared online, then on posters, then on billboards. People started recognizing him. "Are you Sadek?" they asked. "Yes," he replied. Adarink noticed the change too. Her friends stopped calling as much. Met got canceled. 1 afternoon, she sat alone in her living room watching TV. A fashion show played on the screen. Models walked one by one. Then the announcer spoke. Next on the runway, rising star Sadi. Adarink froze. The camera zoomed in. Sadi walked out. Calm, confident, powerful, the audience clapped loudly. Adon's mouth opened slightly. "That's him," she whispered. Sadik walked the runway like he belonged there. Because he did. The show ended. Adon turned off the TV slowly. Her phone buzzed, a message from Bisola. "Isn't that your former driver?" Adon did not reply. She sat in silence, staring at the dark screen. Outside, the city moved on. And somewhere else, under bright lights and loud applause, Sadi took a bow. Not as a driver, but as himself. Life did not slow down after that fashion show. It moved faster. For Sadik, days became full of early mornings, long fittings, bright lights, and new faces. He traveled from one place to another, sometimes not even knowing which day it was until someone reminded him, but through all the noise he stayed the same. He still woke up early, he still spoke softly, he still listened more than he talked. Only now people listened back. One afternoon, Sadik sat in a large studio, white walls, bright lights, cameras everywhere. A woman fixed his jacket while another adjusted his collar. "Stand straight," one said. He did. "Relax your face," another added. He breathed slowly and did. The photographer lifted his camera. "Perfect," he said, just like that. The camera clicked again and again. After the shoot, Sadi sat quietly, scrolling through his phone. Messages poured in. People he had not spoken to in years. People who never noticed him before. "Congrats. So proud of you. Remember me." He smiled lightly and locked his phone. Across the city, Adari's life moved in the opposite direction. Her mornings became quiet. Too quiet. No more calls waking her up early. No more assistants rushing around. No more drivers waiting outside with the car already cleaned. She still had money, but she had lost something else: respect. One morning, a Durrani walked into her office and noticed something strange. The receptionist did not jump up quickly. The greeting was slow. "Good morning, Ma," the receptionist said without excitement. Adarank frowned but said nothing. Inside her office, she sat down and checked her emails. 2 clients had canceled meetings. Another asked to reschedule indefinitely. She slammed her laptop shut. "What is happening?" she muttered. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up quickly. It was Bissa, Ajuran. Bissa said carefully. "Are you okay?" "Why wouldn't I be?" Ajuran snapped. Bisola hesitated. "Some people are talking about what?" Adon demanded. Bisola sighed. "About how you treated Sadik." Adaran laughed sharply. "That again, it's spreading." Bisola said, "People are saying you mocked him when he was nothing." Ajuran's chest tightened. "I gave him work." "Yes," Bisola replied. "But you also laughed at him." Ajuran said nothing. Later that day, Adon attended a small business gathering. She dressed well, she smiled. She tried to act like nothing had changed, but something had. People greeted her, but they did not stay. They talked briefly, then moved away. She noticed whispers, eyes glancing at her, then away. Then she heard it. "Isn't she the one that mocked that model, that driver guy?" Adaranki's hands shook slightly. She turned and left early. That night she sat alone in her living room. The TV played softly, but she was not watching. Her phone buzzed. Another message from a former client. "We've decided to go in a different direction." She dropped the phone on the couch. Across the city, Sadi stood on a balcony looking at the lights below. Kem stood beside him. "You're doing well," she said. "I'm learning," Sadi replied. She smiled. "People like you." Sadi nodded. "I'm grateful." She leaned on the railing. "You know your story inspires people." Sadik looked at her. "I didn't plan it, that's why it works," she said. The next week, Sadi appeared on a billboard, big, clear, his name written boldly beneath his face. People stopped to look. Some took pictures. Sadik passed by one day in a car and saw it through the window. He stared quietly. "I'm still me," he said to himself. That same day, Adon sat in traffic and looked up. She saw the billboard too. Her heart dropped. She stared at it for a long time. "That used to be my driver," she whispered. The car behind her honked. She moved slowly. Later that evening, Adon attended another event. Smaller than before, fewer people. As she stood alone with a drink, she saw a familiar face enter. Sadik. The room reacted instantly. Heads turned, smiles spread, people walked toward him. Adari froze. Sadak had not seen her yet. He greeted people politely, shaking hands, smiling softly. Someone touched his shoulder. "We're glad you came." "Thank you," Sadak replied. Udarinki's chest tightened. She watched as people gathered around him, laughing, asking questions, treating him with respect. The same respect she once done at him. Sadik finally noticed her. Their eyes met for a second, neither moved. Then Sadi nodded, not with pride, not with anger, just a simple nod. "Good evening," he said as he walked closer. Udon swallowed hard. "Good evening." Silence sat between them. She searched his face for something, pride, revenge, mockery. She found none. "You're doing well," she said quietly. "Yes," Sadik replied. "Thank you." She hesitated. "I didn't know you had this." Sadak looked at her calmly. "Most people didn't." She nodded slowly. "I guess I was wrong." Sadik did not smile. He did not frown. He simply said, "Life teaches all of us." She looked down. "I thought inviting you that day would be funny." Sadik nodded. "I know." She looked up quickly. "Do you hate me?" Sadak thought for a moment. "No," he said, "but I learned from you." She frowned. "Learned what? How?" "Not to treat people," he replied gently. The words hit harder than anger ever could. Udon looked away. "I'm sorry," she said, almost too low to hear. Sadi nodded once. "I accept." People began calling Sadik from across the room. He turned to leave. "Take care," he said. "You too," Udrink replied. She watched him walk away, surrounded by smiles and laughter. The same hall, the same lights, but the roles had changed. Weeks later, Udrink sat in her house, packing some files into a box. Her business had shrunk, not gone, but humbled. She moved slower now, thought deeper. Sadik's life, on the other hand, kept rising. More shows, more contracts, more travel, but he never forgot where he came from. One morning he visited his old street. He greeted neighbors. He smiled. "Ah, Sadak," someone shouted. "We saw you on TV." He laughed. "It's still me." That evening he sat alone and looked at the old wooden box under his bed. The photos, the suit bag. He closed it gently. The story had come full circle. The woman who mocked him lost her power. The man who stayed quiet found his voice. And the joke that was meant to break him became the door that set him free. Sadak stood up, looked into the mirror, and smiled softly. Not because he had won, but because he had become exactly who he was meant to.